Hello, welcome into the talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad from the previous week. We got a lot to get to as far as the NBA is concerned. Obviously, so much is going on surrounding the Detroit Pistons, the Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers, the New York Knicks, the Denver Nuggets. That's a laughing matter now, isn't it? The Denver Nuggets. But we're not going to start there. We're going to start now where we're at with the NFL. The draft is over, and you're going to get stories like Mendoza working under center in rookie minute. Yeah, no shit. He's an NFL quarterback now. That's going to happen. The fact that people read that still blows my mind. I almost cursed there. But it does. It absolutely blows my mind. Like, who cares? So he's operating under center because he's an NFL quarterback now? That's weird, right? I think the fun topic right now is that the NFL is giving out their opinions on whether or not the Houston Texans should re-sign CJ Stroud. I think with CJ Stroud, so you guys know my stance on Ohio State quarterbacks. They don't work in the NFL. Well, that was, of course, until CJ Stroud. I apologized during his rookie season. I said I was wrong. CJ Stroud can ball. That guy is going to be a really good quarterback. And then all he has done is get his team to the playoffs. Now, he hasn't been what we saw in his rookie season, but geez, like, look at his wide receiver room has been depleted year after year. His offensive line is really bad. And I'm not defending him. I would love to be right here. I would love to be absolutely correct on what happens with Ohio State quarterbacks. However, are we being fair to these rookie quarterbacks? I mean, right now, is it fair to look at Jaden Daniels after his injury-plagued sophomore season and say, this guy is not good enough? This guy can't hack it. And the truth is, his body was always small. But look, Jared Goff rounded out. He filled out a little bit. Why can't Jaden Daniels? Jaden Daniels scared the hell out of me coming into the NFL because he's so slight of frame. But he is still a very good quarterback. And if you could find a way to protect him, why is it a question? Well, I think it's the same with CJ Stroud. If the Texans can find a way to protect CJ Stroud, if his wide receivers can stop getting hurt day in and day out of every single season, he could probably still be that quarterback. And I'm not saying that's a great excuse, because why do they have to surround you with nothing but talent for you to succeed? But at the same time, quarterbacks are hard to come by in the NFL. This guy is a top draft pick. He proved that he should be a top draft pick. Now, maybe his head got a little big as he put himself in one of the slots as top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. But that'll happen when you come out into a man's league and you dominate. And he did dominate his first season in the NFL. But his teams have also been in the playoffs every single year. And yeah, maybe that's a side effect of having a great defensive head coach, defensive-minded head coach. Maybe that's a side effect of that defense being great. But at the same time, it's not like this guy has been terrible when he's been on the field. He goes out there and he wins games too. He definitely had a terrible playoff game this year. One that you cannot have. One that was filled with turnovers. One that, I'm not going to lie, I reveled in. Okay, because I said this guy is not going to be an NFL quarterback. I said no quarterbacks from Ohio State are NFL quarterbacks simply because of the system they run there. But I still believe in CJ Stroud. I still believe he can be good. And I still believe it is incredibly difficult to have something at that position like a CJ Stroud. So are you going to give up on a CJ Stroud and try to find another one? Or are you going to take what you have? Are you going to go ahead and extend him and give him a giant contract early, which is something I might look at, because right now he's on a downslide? Give him a 3 to 5 year contract, lock him up, something that's not going to cost you a ton of money if he goes out there and he blows it up this year, which he very much could. He could very well have the same season he had in his rookie year. And it's going to be like, wow, we are perplexed. And I'm going to be like, no, wow, we are way too hard on these young guys. And we get our hopes up way too high when they go out there and they perform incredibly well. But that shouldn't be the case. That's never been the case before in the NFL. And here we are now with us judging these quarterbacks before they've had a chance to get wet behind the ears. I mean, we all remember the J.J. Watt sack of Zach Mettenberger that ruined his career with the Celtics in the backfield. These guys still need to learn. All right, especially in an offense like Ohio State, it starts them off in a regressive state. That's not an NFL offense. Ryan Day is not an NFL head coach. And we see this year in and year out because if he was an NFL head coach, he would be getting offers or at least talked about. He's not. We all know his goal is to jump up into the NFL. He doesn't want to be at Ohio State. We've seen those reports, but he's not an NFL head coach and he doesn't run an NFL offense. And that's why these guys fail. I mean, they've been failing for a very long time. Like I honestly, like I've done in the past, cannot think of an NFL quarterback that has come from Ohio State and been successful. And if you throw Joe Burrow at me, jump in your swimming pool because you are dumb. Joe Burrow was a starter at LSU. He never played a down at Ohio State. Stop trying to claim what never was. CJ Stroud, I stand by what I said. Get him on a 3 to 5 year extension while he's cheap. Because if he has a great season, he's going to launch up into that echelon of quarterbacks. That's really what the Dolphins are dealing with right now. The Miami Dolphins have an extremely expensive quarterback room simply because they're still going to be paying Tua Tagovailoa. And he didn't work out. It didn't pan out. So when you have these opportunities, when you have a guy coming off of a couple bad seasons that you know has the potential to be great, that you've seen has the potential to be great, you try to get that extension done right in that moment. That should be your goal is, hey, let's get this guy locked up while we still have time to decide whether or not he's good. All right. If that is what they're capable of doing, then let's see if we can get him back to what we know he can do at a low cost right now. Because CJ Stroud, that guy, he has the potential to be the best quarterback in the Houston Texans' young history. And I don't think that's something you should pass by. I don't think that's something you should debate. I think that's something you should invest in. You should try to look at all of the ways that we can make this young man better and move forward. The funny one, though, is Anthony Richardson over in Indianapolis. Now, the Colts have already declined his 2027 option, which can you blame them? This guy rode bench. Daniel Jones is their starter and will continue to be their starter. But as soon as he gets back from that injury. But I told everyone, you can't go out, and this is going to plague the Rams too. If it wasn't for Matthew Stafford being their starting quarterback, I think they'd be sunk with Simpson. Because you can't go out and get a quarterback with no experience. This is why it's so critical for Arch Manning to play in as many games as he can. This is why it's big for him to be back at Texas, for him to continue to push himself into a level that gets him prepared to play in the NFL, because Ty Simpson's definitely not at a level that has him prepared for the NFL. And like I said, he's a small guy. He's little. We already talked about that, though. But when it comes to Richardson lost more games than he won at the University of Florida. And Richardson is a running back at the quarterback position. It was easy to see. And people wanted to compare him like Quincy Avery, that guy on Twitter. I think he finally blocked me because he's wrong all the time. You don't know what he's talking about. Oh, I'm in the press conferences. I know. You don't. You just want to put people up on pedestals that aren't quite ready for that yet. And Anthony Richardson was not ready for that yet. I said Anthony Richardson is a third-round pick at best. At best, he could be your Russell Wilson if you're lucky. He does not have the skill to invest your team's future in the first round. And sure enough, look at this. He's just not the guy. Yeah, he's got a big arm, but he doesn't know how to use it. Yeah, he is learning playbooks, but he hasn't learned them fast enough. He's been there 3 years now. Yeah, someday he's not going to be injured, but when is that day going to happen? All right, he's built like a truck, but he's running into guys that are built like much bigger trucks. All right, you're finding out at this NFL level that there are bigger trucks on the road, and you're going to have to deal with that if you're going to be an NFL quarterback that runs around and all he does is get tossed like a rag doll every time he gets hit. And that's not going to stop because he's not going to learn his lesson. We've seen it. So here we go again with Anthony Richardson. He's going to go be a career backup, and I predict that someday he's going to come out. And he's going to have to replace the starter. And he's going to have a huge game. And he's going to have an opportunity to that giant contract again. But that's not going to be anytime soon. This guy is a backup quarterback, is a backup quarterback, is a backup quarterback. He will be a gadget play quarterback. He will use him out there on trick plays, things like that. But he's never, ever, ever going to be an NFL quarterback that leads a team anywhere. If Anthony Richardson is your starting quarterback, you need a new starting. The last thing we're going to talk about here in the NFL is Diego Pavia got picked up. Now, after he just sat there and sat there and sat there and sat there at his draft party, he was picked up as an undrafted free agent by the Baltimore Ravens. And the Baltimore Ravens have said, hey, let's see what you got, kid. Now, he is undersized, only in stature, because his attitude is definitely oversized. And we'll see if he can back that up in the NFL. He definitely backed it up in college. He was an exciting quarterback at Vanderbilt. And he took Vanderbilt to places that we never thought we'd see Vanderbilt go. But if you're a Diego Pavia and you're now in this position, it is time for you to put up or shut up, because you're going to get an opportunity to play with other very hungry players in the NFL that are going for those starting spots on the defensive side of the ball. And all they want to do is eat you, because you, to them, are an easy, arrogant target. I would love to see Diego Pavia not be an easy, arrogant target. I would love to see Diego Pavia go out there and do something magical. I just don't think he will. I think this preseason ends or maybe begins with Diego Pavia being cut by the Baltimore Ravens. We'll see where he ends up to start the season on their depth chart, but he'll get 1 or 2 chances to play, and I think that'll be it. He'll be in the UFL before we know it. Let's move on to basketball. All right, so the Boston Celtics blew it, huh? Boston Celtics had a few opportunities to close out the Philadelphia 76ers, and Joel Embiid said, not today. No, sir. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now. And took out a team of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Derek White. And this team obviously surprised us. We thought they were going to end up in the lottery somewhere with only having Jaylen and Derek White to lead the charge here, but they ended up being a 2 seed in the NBA playoffs. And now they're no longer in the NBA playoffs. Why? I think it's because Joe Mazzulla, that dude that watches the town every single day, is not an actual coach in the NBA. This guy has no business coaching in the NBA. He's kind of a joke. Not kind of. He is a joke, because every time he's in a position where he has to outcoach the opposing sideline, he cannot do it. All right. Joe Mazzulla is the reason why you can have as many all-stars as you want on a team and still lose. It does matter. Coaching does matter. And Joe Mazzulla has shown us time in and time out that he doesn't have what it takes to lead his team to a championship unless now I know he won a championship. Yeah, but look at that. He had to play the 5 seed Dallas Mavericks in that playoffs or in that championship game. Okay. And yeah, Luka was dominating, but that team had no business in the NBA championship. And what did they do? They beat their way through teams that were limping through the Eastern Conference, injury heavy teams. And they did. They got a championship for Tatum, and they got a championship for Jaylen Brown. And Joe Mazzulla can forever say he is an NBA champion head coach, but there are a lot of coaches that probably shouldn't be able to say that can. All right. Now, moving forward with those Celtics, what do? Do you blow it up? Do you blow it up? Do you just or do you just get rid of that head coach? What is the move here? What do they pull moving forward so this doesn't happen again? Because it's ridiculous. So I think Joe Mazzulla is out as the Boston Celtics head coach. I think they're done with his shenanigans. I think they're done with his standoffish press conferences. I think that they know that they have a core here in Boston, especially after what we saw this year, that if they are coached better, has an opportunity to win a championship. But right now, I am so stoked to see what the Philadelphia 76ers have been able to do, because it's weird. Like, I should hate this team of Paul George, Joel Embiid, Maxey, but I don't. I want to see them beat the Knicks. I would love to see them break the New York Knicks' hearts, because there's nothing better for basketball than the Knicks being the best team or getting so close to that championship and then not making it. And right now, they feel like they have got everything set up for them to succeed in New York. New York feels like we have the grimiest, grungiest, ready for battle team. And we're going to go out there and they're going to fight. And now they get to play a 7 seed in Philadelphia. But I think this is a faux 7 seed. I really do. the Philadelphia 76ers on paper, like if you just look at them 5 years ago, if you just look at them 5 years ago, you're like, maybe 3 years ago, you're like, this is a really good team. This is kind of an all-star team. Look at this setup. And I, Father Time is undefeated, but wow, what a story. If the 7 seed Philadelphia 76ers are the ones to break the hearts of the New York Knicks. Now, at the time that this is recording, we still have a Detroit Pistons game tonight. We have a Cavaliers Raptors game tonight to determine who's going to be at the other end of the Eastern Conference semis. But I really think whoever comes out of this game has got your best shot at the NBA championship outside of the Cavaliers. If the Cavaliers can stop playing with their food, put away Toronto, and then they get lucky and maybe get the Magic, because the Magic are really giving us the blueprint on how to beat the Detroit Pistons, who have one superstar, and I don't think he's surrounded by enough. I mean, it's been fun to watch Cade Cunningham grow up, but as we go through this, I mean, Philadelphia 76ers realistically could have a run towards the NBA championship as a 7 seed, which is insane to say, but they've got the players to make it happen. Like it really could happen. And I think that people need to start to accept that reality where a 7 seed 76ers team can make it to the NBA championship. I think we look at this and we always say, well, the best team usually comes out ahead in a 7-game series. But we never thought, like, under this new playoff format, a team that sneaks in with some really great players could be the best team. I mean, look what the Miami Heat did a couple years ago. Granted, they didn't win the championship, but look what they were able to do and get in and making some noise. All right, like this is not too foreign to us. And when you've got players of the caliber of a Paul George, of a Joel Embiid, of a Tyrese Maxey, and then you've got rookies in Edgecombe that come in and make a difference. This could be very fun. And come on, outside of New York, is there anything funnier than New York getting its heart broken? I mean, the New York Knicks, that's the only team that everyone in New York roots for. Okay, they're divided on every other sport, but basketball, they have the New York Knicks, and they love the New York Knicks. So for the 76ers to go in there and rip the heart out of the New York Knicks, I'm sorry, that's cinema. That's pure cinema. And let's flip it up to Father Time undefeated, right? Well, not with LeBron James yet. Not with LeBron James just yet, because the Los Angeles Lakers have beaten the Houston Rockets for the right to get beaten by the Oklahoma City Thunder. All right, not quite yet. Luka Doncic is still out. Reeves finally is making his way in. He's getting some minutes, but he's still a little hurt. But I mean, it's kind of fun to watch LeBron James go out there and turn back the hands of time and do it again. I would love to see what could happen if Luka Doncic gets healthy during the series. But the Thunder look like this unstoppable force right now. Oklahoma City is another team that can literally toy with its opponents because they have so much talent on that team, and that is the reality of this Oklahoma City Thunder team. They're only going to lose if they choose to lose, if they don't put forth their best effort. Outside of that, there's not a team that has as much talent as this Oklahoma City Thunder team. I mean, the Spurs are going to give them problems simply because Wembanyama is so good. And I think that a lot of the players on the San Antonio Spurs are undervalued. They're going to walk right through the Timberwolves without Anthony Richardson. So really, we're looking right at a San Antonio Spurs versus Oklahoma City Thunder in the West. And this is the emergence of youth. This is the takeover that we're going to see. I would love to see what happens in the offseason with players like Zion and Ja Morant, because it's that draft makes me so sad. There was so much talent in that draft. I mean, RJ Barrett hit a pretty big shot the other night, right? But there was so much talent in that draft, and we just haven't seen much of it come to fruition like we thought Ja Morant had next, and he let us all down. But there's still talent there. We thought Zion might have next, and he's let us all down, but we think there still might be talent there. But they just got passed by because Wembanyama and the Spurs look phenomenal. They look like they're up. They've got a young core. They've got some veteran experience. And then the Oklahoma City Thunder, I don't know how anyone's going to stop them moving forward. They're just too stacked, not just with players, but with draft picks. And this team looks like a team that can dominate the NBA for the next 10 to 15 years. They look like they're in that atmosphere of the Golden State Warriors, of the Chicago Bulls of old. This team, look at their draft picks. They've got top 10 draft picks coming up. It's pretty insane what they're going to be capable of doing. Whereas San Antonio, they've built this core through the draft. They don't have as many draft picks or as much draft capital, but they also won't have the financial issues that Oklahoma City is going to have to face soon with who should they pay, when should they pay, how should they pay, who should they trade, can they continue to accumulate assets to backfill the players that they're not going to be able to pay. I don't know what the future holds for Oklahoma City, but I do know what this year holds. And I think that is an appearance again in the championship. Wemby got next, but he ain't up. And we cannot let the Denver Nuggets off the hook. What the hell? With what is and could be the best player in the NBA, at least a top 3 player in the NBA in Jokic, they cannot beat a hobbled Minnesota Timberwolves team. Why do you keep making Rudy Gobert look so good, Jokic? How do you keep doing that? Because there's no way Rudy Gobert went out there as the only superstar on, if he is a superstar, that might defensive superstar. There we go. Defensive superstar on a Timberwolves team that also has a ton of injuries, and they just beat your ass. They just beat you into the ground. And it's just crazy to me that we're not watching a Spurs Nuggets series and that we've got to watch the Spurs simply walk. They're going to waltz right in to the conference championship game. And I just don't think that's fair to all of us. But we're going to do our best to have fun with this series as it moves forward, even though I kind of see a broom in the future of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Thank you so much for joining us each and every week here on the Sad Fan, and we will see you next time.